Alright folks, welcome back to building the Turn Off the Dark Green Goblin. This is part 3 where we're focusing on finishing the bodysuit. So we've got pretty much the lower half of the suit done now. We've almost finished the arms. So what our main focus is actually working on the chest and sort of the upper stomach portion, because there's some like ribbed details and extra spikes that go on there and some like built out sort of almost pectoral armor looking stuff, as well as these sort of translucenty plasticky shoulder pads, and we've got to build up an actual neck collar so it goes higher up here, because at the moment the collar of the costume sits just the same as a normal neckline on a t-shirt. And we've also got a bunch of the spikes that go on top of the shoulder pads and also run down the forearms. Also have to figure out the back of this costume, which is kind of going to be made up as you go along, purely because I have not been able to find any decent shots of the back of the suit. Nothing in any sort of high def. It's really blurry. I can kind of see what's going on, but it's just going to kind of be, we'll just see how it looks when we start trying to merge how the front looks into the back, and just make it so it looks decent, and we're not going to have to worry about it being perfect, because this is not perfect. This is nowhere near the stage quality. I'm just doing it so it's like it's good enough. It's got the detail it needs to be. It's hopefully going to stay together, and that's the important part. We keep the perfectionism for the day job, and that'll do for my personal stuff. So what I'm going to be focusing on for the moment is working on sort of the chest and the upper stomach area. So we've got these silicone parts that we cast out in the last episode, so can't attach them until we've got the actual rest of the bodysuit, so we can stick those on. So I'm going to be working on sort of the pecs, getting those covered, and then start adding the details that go around the stomach area. This sits higher on me than it does on the two actors for Goblin. So we're going to probably change it a little bit and just have less of the spikes that go around sort of the side here on me, and then we'll just figure it out as we go. Alright, so this is our Goblin chest piece. Now forgive the lighting, the sun's coming through the window and I've got no blind, so the camera's having a bit of a struggle. So our chest piece, nice simple Velcro attachment, that's how we like it. These random bits that I made ages ago and have already painted, I've literally just glued straight onto the chest, so they're not an issue and they're not going to get in the way, and they're in around about the right position, so it's not too bad. And then to attach Velcro to this, originally I've used 5-minute epoxy, which has adhered them kind of well, but it's not gonna last forever because it's gonna just come off if it pulls enough. So while I don't have any at the moment, when I do get some more of this silicone, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix them up and just run it around the edges of here, so the silicone will bond to the silicone and we'll stick this down. What you can do if you've got a little bit more foresight than myself is when you're actually casting it out is just set some Velcro in when you're casting it, so it'll just be in the silicone, and then hopefully the idea is it shouldn't come out, but the 5-minute epoxy is holding it for now, so at least we can do test fittings and that and it's not going to fall off. We'll do the same with the bottom piece here. I'm just going to 5-minute epoxy some more Velcro on and figure out where that's going to sit on my stomach. But now we've got these pieces, what I'm going to do now is just give them a little bit of a paint job. Obviously we've already got some green tint in this piece that we've cast out here, but for the most part it is going to be covered in paint. It looks like what the original's done. If you actually look at it, it looks like it's been painted over the top. So we're just going to use our airbrush, the same as we've been doing for the rest of the costume. Paint over this, as well as paint up the 2 chest pieces, paint up the lower belly, and also paint up these. These are going to be front rib pieces here that I've just glued together. And I've run a bead of hot glue down there because there is like this little line going here, which I could have added something underneath and glued it round, but I didn't have anything to do that, so added it on afterwards with a bit of glue, and we'll paint over that. And we got to adhere this bit to the costume, and then we can glue this bit on, and then we can move on to working on the back. Okay, so annoyingly I didn't quite have enough paint left over to fully paint this, but we've kind of got it up to like a nice stage. I just need to get some more dark green and some more yellow to sort of go over these more yellowy bits, and this bit needs to be a little bit darker. It's coming up darker on camera than it is to the eye, so we just need to go over with just a slightly darker green on here. Especially on this lower portion here. So now we're just going to jump over to properly mounting this bottom half to the costume, and then move on to sort of the rest of the details. Okay, so we now have the little flappy bits on the arms sort of attached here. This side is a lot messier than the other side. This is why I tend to stick with working with armour rather than fabric, but thankfully a lot of what's up here is going to be covered by the shoulder belt, so this bit is the only real visible bit. But this side here is a lot neater. So basically, look at the neat side. Ignore the other side. So just glued on with contact cement, so it sort of stays in place. You can see the glue a bit here with the layers. So it's a little bit rough under there as well, but it's fine. We're not gonna see that bit much. So it's glued until about here and here, and then we've got a Velcro attachment to attach it to the chest, so I can still remove the chest. It just needs to go over the side bits here. Hopefully this will also look better once it's painted, and we can hide a lot of the roughness. But yeah, this is why I don't often do fabric work, because I'm not very good at it, but we do it anyway. We try. So yeah, now we've actually got some paints arrived in the post. Let's go finish up painting our chest piece, and we can paint the remaining part of the body and our little ribby bits on the back here. Okay, a little bit of a jarring jump from what you just saw to now. It's been about 2 months, which you probably wouldn't have known if I didn't mention it. Yeah, a couple of months. Typical, ran out of fabric, literally doing the last parts of what I need for the foam bit. And then prep for Comic-Con and all that, so, and birthday. I've made it another rotation around the sun. Woo! So yes, I finally got some more fabric. Shiny, shiny, shiny got, which we don't need much of. So, like, literally I need like a quarter of this. This is the least amount you could order. And so what we're going to do is finish off the foam stuff, as you can see. Things like this, which are going to go on the chest, work on the collar, and go on the back. I've also got a bit of foam dowel that will need to be covered to go on the back too. And then that's all the fabric work finished, and then we will be moving on to doing the big plastic shoulder things, as well as doing some tests for the forearm spikes and the spikes that also go on the shoulders, which are either going to be done out of the silicone or out of the foam, but we're going to have to see with weight wise and embedding magnets and all sorts, so that's going to take time. So here's our little foam master for the spikes. I'm going to be using this foam master for both the spikes that go on the forearms as well as the ones that go on the shoulders, because for the shoulder ones we only really need to cast them. I'm not drunk, I have had caffeine. The ones on the shoulders we only really need to cast to about sort of halfway, 3/4 of the way up, because they're not full length ones, and the ones of the forearm will be all the way. So these aren't the neatest in the world. I've done the little foam shape and then covered it with a few layers of plasti dip, so we've got this sort of nice surface texture going on. So might do what I did with the chest pieces, where we make a quick mold, and then what we do is pour some resin in that, and then take the resin out, clean the resin up a little bit more, and then we will have a nice resin master as well, because the foam master probably won't last too long, and if we take it out of the mould, the plasti dip might sort of split and stuff. So having a resin master is good, because then if something happens to the mould, we've got an immediate solid copy we can use. So I'll just keep them in a cupboard until I need to recast stuff, because the silicone things ain't gonna last forever. So I've got my foam core board here. This is the last of the foam core I have. I need to go out and buy some more. So it's the same stuff you guys saw me use when we were doing the mold for the pumpkin bomb. So we're just gonna do the same thing, make a little box, glue this in the base so it's standing up, pour in the silicone. I have got some fresh silicone with a green catalyst this time, which is fast set. So hopefully we won't have to wait like 8 hours. This will be like 3 to 4, so half the time. And then we can pop it out and just sort of see what it looks like. Okay, so now I've cast out 2 of the spikes from our lovely mold. This is now our master mold because it's a lot neater on the inside, a lot less bubbles. So I cast it out using this one, which is our clear silicone, which we used to make the chest piece, and this one, which is our gun foam, which we used to make the pumpkin bombs. And I've decided to go with the gun foam, mainly because the gun foam, as you can see, is a lot more rigid, but we still have that nice flexibility. The only thing I've got to look out for is bit of air bubbling just on the very tip of it there, but I've tested we can glue the magnet in really well and it stays. Of course I've got nice pigments for it, so I can make a nice green colour, and I'll spray it. And also the surface is fairly smooth. Obviously there's a bit of flashing I haven't trimmed off yet, but this is looking really nice. So this is our winner and this is our reject. Of course I knew I was going to get some surface bubbling in this because I don't have a degasser here, so when you're mixing silicone you're putting air into it, you're putting bubbles into it. But it worked fairly well for the chest pieces, and it just hasn't worked for this one. So this one's fairly bubbly. Also the silicone itself, again the chest pieces are fairly rigid, but because they're a bit thicker they can actually hold their shape, whereas this being a long thinner piece, it just wants to bend like that. So this is not gonna work for our purposes. So silicone is out, gun foam is in, so I can now start casting a bunch of these gun foam spikes. I've forgotten the total number there is, but I think there's like 7 on each arm and then 6 on each shoulder, something like that. So for the shoulder ones we're only going to cast like up to here anyway. Well, it's foam, so it's going to all shoot out and make a big mess at the bottom, so you need to trim it. So this edge is not super neat, but the whole plan obviously to attach them is magnets, so there'll be just magnets on the forearm, and then the ones on the shoulders are going to be glued to the actual shoulder piece. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We just got to get the numbers first. Okay guys, I'm back with another little random bit of the costume that I've kind of been working off camera because I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. But to finish off the bodysuit, we're casting out these bits. See, that's a rough one that hasn't been trimmed or anything yet. But in between doing those, I'm working on the shoulder pad thing. So this is like kind of the base of the shoulder parts. We've got a left and a right going on here. I'm using Warbler. This is clear Warbler or Transfer Art, depending what kind of brand it falls under, which I have never used before. I've actually never used Warbler before. Warbler is a thermoplastic. So I've used some thermoplastic before, but it's like the little beads that you put in hot water and then you can like hand mold them into little shapes and stuff. But this is like plastic sheeting that can stick to itself with heat, and you can sort of form it into shape. And I've got a thin one, so it's not quite solid. It's quite bendy still, but I was able to figure out this bit's bent in storage over the week, but sort of figure out a base shape for what will be the shoulder, because it kind of wants to be a bit translucency. So I need to paint on the inside, which will help stop stuff from scratching off on the surface, and try and make it so it's got a little bit of a translucent kind of effect. I still haven't 100% figured out how I'm going to attach these to the shoulder, but we'll get there, but I'm at the moment cutting out some extra parts, like here, which this one is Also, it's very static and things stick to it like crazy, which is going to be like another part of the base, because it's like this is built up in a couple of layers, so it's like 3 of these, but it's not going to be full domes underneath. We're only just going to make part of it and stick it together. So I've got some templates for the other parts that I need to stick here. So I'm just going to transfer these over to the warbler sheet, and we're going to try and use the heat to stick them together. I will probably reinforce certain parts with super glue as well, just to make sure that they just don't come apart. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to pop them in and then paint, or paint and put it in. The only problem with painting and then attaching them means that you're sticking it to paint rather than to the thing, so it's going to want to come off easy. So we're just going to figure that out and just kind of go for it. Okay, so you just saw me there kind of like smushing two halves together. I put some masking tape on the inside of one of the pieces just because I wanted the edge to stick together and not like the whole bit. So when I was first testing it, I accidentally like stuck parts together like way too far down for when I was making the actual like shoulder bells. So I've discovered just masking tape just means it's not going to stick to itself. And then when it's all sort of heat molded together, sort of just trim that edge so it's a bit smoother, and I've just put super glue on the corners again just to protect the seams from just trying to pop apart. Not that it really should, because this stuff is sticking underneath, but yeah, just a little bit of reinforcement. So I grab, which one are you? Are you this one? So this one's kind of going to sit under here like that, so it's not properly in place at the moment, but you can kind of see what's going on here. So just figuring out what would be the best way to mount them, if sticking them down directly is going to be an option or if we're going to do something else with them. So I'm just going to have a little play about and then come back when I figure it out. Right, okay, I think I've figured it out. So now we've got our shoulder bells that look a bit weird because they're see-through and whatnot, but we will paint them. So this is the outer piece. This one is this is the left. So we've got this around a bit at the front, and it's got a more angled bit at the back, and I've just sort of tacked in the bits in place just using a bit of copper wire just to figure out how it sits. So underneath they just sort of come up here to match where the rivets are on the costumes, just to hold it in place. So there's a little bit of movement. Obviously I can pull that down, but that's not going to come down because there's going to be an actual human being in the way. But there's a little bit of movement, like sort of in these sort of two bits. Not a huge amount, because to make sure that's not dropped down, I've just done it in there. So that's how it's gonna go. Obviously I need to take them apart to paint them. yeah, it's been a while, life's been busy, but we're back on the Goblin train. We're nearly finished it, well, for the bodysuit at least. So I've got these lovely little spiky things here. So these are all my Goblin spikes that I've cast out to go on the shoulders and on the arms. So I've reduced the amount I need on my arms, mainly because my arm is smaller, so it doesn't fit the whole 8 pieces on my forearm. But we've still got 6 pieces that will go on the actual shoulder bit. I love how this one, just really green one, where I messed up the colour mix a lot. But it's still usable because we do have to paint these. I just wanted to give everything a base colour, so it still had some greeny yellow underneath for the paint, or because the paint will eventually chip off. I mean, it'll be sturdy enough, but just thinking wear and tear for the costume. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to go paint these all to look like they do in the show, with a little bit of the yellow-green gradient. And like I've done on this one, I'm gonna start putting magnets in the ones that go on my forearms, and then these ones are gonna be glued directly to the shoulder piece. Alright, ladies and gents, this is a slight time jump because I spent a good day or so faffing about with these spikes to figure out how on earth to mount them, because I had a couple of ideas of how to mount the shoulders and how to mount the arms that weren't the best, and so I've figured out another way. So here we got our 2 sets, so these are our forearm spikes, now all painted. And they've also now all got the magnets attached underneath, making sure that the magnets are polarized the right way, so they all stick nice and easy to where I want them to go. So really nice and easy. How I'm attaching the forearm magnets is I've gone ahead and I've made these. So this is really simple sort of little arm brace. If I slide it on here, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So this has to go pretty much all the way down to my elbow. So there you go, you can see where sort of the elastic sits. It's not too tight, it's not too loose, so it sits alright. And then the magnets are kind of on the underside of my arm here. So essentially what this is I've got some 3mm craft foam, and see there's actually 2 layers of 3mm craft foam here. So what I've done is on this top layer here, so I've cut out a section that's wide enough that I can fit my magnets in, with a nice enough border that, you know, nice and sturdy and they fit in there, and it's not too wide for my arm. And I've just roughly cut and spaced out where the magnets are gonna sit, and I cut the holes slightly smaller than the actual circumference of the magnet, so they're fitting there quite snugly. And then I just super glued them in, and then onto that I just got a couple of strips of elastic, cut them to the size I want, glued them into the back end of the magnet, and then cut out another strip which is the same height and width of the strip with the magnets in, and it's just with a load of hot glue glued these together
One, so it keeps the straps in nice and tight and the straps aren't going to want to go anywhere. Two, again, a lot of glue in there, super glue and hot glue to make sure the magnets stay in place and they don't move or don't easily come out of their little housings here. And three, it adds a little bit more rigidity to this. Now, it's flexible, so it's nice and easy to get on, and it's not rock hard, and it won't start poking through and damaging the undersuit as well. So I've just rounded off the corners to give it a little bit of a better shape. So you will see a slight outline of this under the suit. But the reason I've gone for it this way is my original plan was to actually like do this thing, just to have it as one strip of foam with the magnets mounted in it, stitch a pocket to the inside of the sleeve and then slot that in. But the problem you have there is because the base suit is stretchy, essentially with the weight of this and the weight of the spikes, it's just going to start pulling on the fabric of the suit, and after a while it's going to wreck your suit and it's just not going to look very good. So with this, it's not attached to the undersuit at all, it's attached to me, so it's a little bit more stable and it's not going to damage the suit, and they're not going to go anywhere, which is nice. Again, it's super easy. You can just put it on, and then I just one by one line up my spikes. Boom! Look at that. Super cool, super easy to do. And they got a little bit of movement there, so they're pretty strong too. They don't want to come off easily, which is what we want, but we can take them off, pop them back on, like to say like, oh, if this one broke or if I lost it or something stupid, then it's just really easy to cast out another one and replace the whole thing. Now, let me show you what I've done for the shoulders. Alright, so here are my nice spiky goblin shoulders. So, kind of really simple application to this, because if you actually look at the one on the official costume, it just looks like there's a load of silicone holding it in place and it's a little bit messy. So, hooray for me not wanting to be the neatest person about when I'm not doing stuff at work. It's quite freeing to actually be able to make a mess of my own work. Woo. Really nice, easy way to actually get the spikes on. So the way that I've built the shoulders themselves here is that I've actually got like a little sort of where these two parts join, they come together. You can see there's kind of like it's not sharp, but it's a thin peak that runs all the way across the back of these shoulders. So pretty much you can just see from what I've done on the edge here, just cut a slit that goes probably about, what, 15 mil up the spike. Put a load of super glue in that, shoved them on where I wanted them to go, and then with this bottom part to sort of, because it's a square edge, sort of round that off a little bit. There's a load of hot glue, and then hot glue also acts as a little bit more stability, and then just spray a little bit of paint over that. So yeah, we kind of got the shapes we want, so it's kind of got that little bit of rough edge, the same as it is in the show, but it's all stuck together, and again, it's not gonna go anywhere fast. Now, you can hear a little jingle jangle jingle in there, and that's not just because as I'm filming this it's coming up to Christmas. Really soon, to the point there is actually a load of snow outside as I'm filming this segment. In here you can see we've actually got one half of a clip. So my idea again was to do a load of magnets, so the magnets will be easily hidden behind where the rivets have gone in here, which these are just other half of push fasteners. So these are just like the outside edge, so we've got that nice sort of round metallic bits that are in the show. I don't know why, there isn't any other real metallic-y things on the suit apart from these. And it doesn't look like they're connected by these points on the actual suit in the show, so I'm not entirely sure what they're for. But with the added weight of the spikes and stuff, it was just too heavy to keep it on the suit. So I've got a couple of D-rings, which if I grab one over here, there you go. So this is a plain old D-ring. You'll see these on like buckles and belts and bags and whatnot. You can buy them just as they are. It's just a random gold one. This is just what they had in my local shop. And what I've done, it's very technical, is in the crease where the two halves meet, I shoved a load of glue on this, shoved it in, I'll put a load more glue on that. You can see the amount of glue I have in there to hold it in place. Lots and lots of glue, again, so it doesn't want to go anywhere. And this is actually one half of a Cobra clip. There you go, you can see that. So it's not like a usual dowel ring clip that I've used before. This is actually a Cobra clip. So I've just got a little bit of webbing, and that's just attached to the D-ring in here. So it's just, the webbing's just glued in place, so that's the easiest way to attach it. And it's not quite in the middle, but I had it here. You can see where I've quickly done a little respray to sort of hide a bit of the paint coming off, as I had to rip out the D-ring so it's in the wrong place. But to move it in a bit, just so it kind of wants to hold on a little bit better and you don't actually see the strapping when like the shoulder kind of wants to move like out this way from your arm. So that's attached on there, and then we got the other half attached to the actual bodysuit. Now, where I've had to put this means that the strapping is actually under some existing paneling, but because all my paneling is removable by Velcro in order to wash the undersuit, it wasn't too tricky to sort out. So there you go, this is the other half of the Cobra clip. You'll see these used a lot on sci-fi costumes and films and stuff because they're kind of a very futuristic looking clip. But what's nice about these are really easy to clip on and off, and they're quite sturdy. So you see these little gold bits here. So when the two sides are clipped together, just to get it loose, get it undone, all you got to do is go bloop and press these little side bits in. So I'm not going to have to wiggle and like pull anything, which is nice. So this is going over my shoulder. I've just sewn in this strap over here, just so it's got a good bit of stitching down here to make it so it doesn't want to go anywhere. And the rest of it is thankfully hidden by the pre-existing pieces I've put on. And which one are you? You are the right hand. So this is the left hand shoulder. This is the right hand shoulder. So just to demonstrate, we just put that down gently. This would be something someone will have to put on me when I'm wearing the actual suit, but we just clip it together. Two halves are attached there. So that was a little bit of time just trying to figure out what was the best way to do it. So apologies for the time jump. So that's it, that's the bodysuit done, I think, I hope, unless I notice anything that isn't quite working because I haven't fully put it on to test the shoulders and all that. As you can see, it's been a long time, all my hair has grown out. I think that's it. I think we're done for the bodysuit, which means I can have a teeny bit of a break, and then next year commencing, I'm going to have to learn how to do full facial prosthetics in a week, in a space of a few months, before I hopefully go off flying somewhere special for a photo shoot. Well, for a holiday, and then I'm just bringing my suits with me, but last time I planned that, the entire world got COVID. So I started this project by doing a load of prototypes in lockdown in 2020, and today is the 12th of December 2022. 3-year project to do the bodysuit, and then a few months to do the rest of it. So yeah. Ooh, this is what we call a labour of love. Right, I suppose I better get in it, and hopefully it'll look good. If it doesn't, I might cry. And there you go, that is the Green Goblin bodysuit finally finished. I need a little bit of tweaking to do on this shoulder because it's sitting ever so slightly closer to my neck than this one, and I want it to be a little bit further away so it sits more like this one does. But that is the only real issue I have here, apart from the fact I need to remember I've got spikes, as I've already walked into things about 3 times already. Spatial awareness when you're in costume is important. I should know that by now. I've been doing it long enough, and I always forget. As you can probably hear, or you may not be able to, but if I just... I'm a little bit squeaky, but that's okay. You probably won't hear that at Comic Con. Used to being clanky in armour, I don't mind being a little bit squeaky, but honestly this looks good. I mean, the silhouette it creates, absolutely phenomenal. Nearly said a naughty word. Like, honestly, I can't get over how sick this looks. I just need to keep an eye on my spikes to make sure they don't move too much. I'm pretty sturdy. The shoulders are flappy, but that's because there's only one connection point, and I need them to be kind of loose so I can do this and have decent shoulder movement.
but you can just see by the time I tweak this one it'll sit a lot better. I'm genuinely super happy with this. I mean, you look close enough, you're gonna see a lot of rough edges, but this is, I feel awesome. I feel so cool. It's a shame about this. We've got this lovely green and yellow figure going on here, and we just got this baby face. But that's the next part. So as I said, it's going to be a case of the next part, part 4, I think, is going to be dealing with the prosthetics and the wig. Now, I've literally only had one very short crash course on prosthetics, by which I mean the last Comic-Con I did Emperor Palpatine, and I made some very crude last-minute prosthetics like a week or so before the event. And it worked kind of well for something that was incredibly last-minute, and I had to recast it out of different materials so it didn't stick to my face properly. But, you know, little crash course, I kind of know a basis on what I'm doing now. Hopefully I get my buddy to do a head scan on me, so I'll be able to sculpt it to my actual face shape. And I think the wig's probably going to be the hardest part, because there is so much hair on the version of Goblin that I'm going for. Like version 1 has more like spiky mohawk sections, look more akin to the arm spikes. But then the final one went for this like long black with like hints of dark green, sort of swept back mohawk-ish look. So it's going to be a little bit harder to do, especially because it has to have a custom front, because you've got to have the really big widow's peak that goes down into the prosthetic mask's forehead. But I can bug some people that I know that are better at this stuff than me, which will be quite good. So thank you very much for watching. Sorry this part has taken forever to come out. I know it's felt like a very long time for me too. So I don't know when the next one's coming out, but hopefully within the next few months, because that's ideally when I need to get it done. No pressure or anything. But until then, just follow me on my Instagram if you want to see what I'm up to. All links down below. That's where I'm usually active if you want to ask me anything or see progress pictures, because that's where I post it now. And if not, subscribe, take a look at some of my older stuff, and just keep an eye out for anything that does pop up on the channel. So I'll see you next time. Take care.